Good afternoon, folks.
What's up?
Welcome back to another episode of After Dark with Megan and Mo.
This episode is not happening after dark, but hey, that's the show.
Yeah, the reason why we decided to do is because right now we have the boys playing a video game. We're hoping that Noe's playing her game in our room.
Or else you'll be seeing him making a feature in the window in a second.
And the topic we're discussing is not dark. It's not, it's not sexual.
Nope.
It's everybody friendly, basically, So we figure we should just do it now and get it, while we have time and get it out of the way. But if this is your first time checking out our video, please go ahead and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Today's topic is basically Africans versus African Americans. Okay, I'm African, as you guys know.
I'm African American.
She was born and raised here in the Bronx. I moved here in 2002, so 17 years ago, and so I have different experience. I have my experience with African American. What we want to explore is this
divide,
right? That
seems to be occurring within African Americans or amongst African Americans, and we'll just say Africans, although it's not all Africans. I guess, well, I want to start with the idea that when talking about African American history with Africans, there's this level of like disconnect and almost ignorance on both parts as far as the greater impact or the impact that white supremacy and colonization has had on both parties. I've come across many posts of African Americans saying how they feel that Africans have benefited in America from a system that they helped create, meaning African Americans helped create by fighting for their civil rights, and Africans come over to the U.S. and benefit from that, and then at the same time find themselves turning up their nose at African Americans in disgust, or as in we are better than you. So they're saying from African American side, they say the Africans, they think they're better than us, right? And then Africans, like, okay, African Americans will say the African will say they think they're better than us, they tell us, oh, you don't work, you whatever, right? And then African Americans say, oh, who are you to be talking, or you African booty scratcher or whatever, There's name calling on both sides.
On both sides.
And it's ignorance on both sides in regards to where we stand in the bigger aspect, the bigger picture. And we're not having conversations, we're just rehashing hurt. We're not trying to figure out, well, why do you as the African feel that way, or where did you get that idea that looking outward towards African Americans we aren't doing enough, and then African Americans, where are you getting the idea that we think that we're better than you, or what about our how we say or how we interact with you implies that we think we're better than you? Why do you feel that we think that we're better than you?
Yep. Quick. So we're gonna go back to when people were sold, right? And where I'm from, it was a major part, right, in slave trade, and basically selling your own people. All right, okay. So from what I understand and what I learned in history in class when I was a kid.
But hold on, just real quickly, something to highlight. When he says selling his own people, he means as in his modern day countrymen. But understand that back in that time, the kingdom of Dahomey was the lower part of Benin, but it's now present day as a whole Benin. But Dahomey was one kingdom, then there was the kingdom of Ouida, and then there was other kingdoms in present day Benin.
Although this is one country, right, technically. Now back in those days, was completely divided, and it still kind of is, but it's not the same thing anymore. But the division is like you have different villages, that was ran by different kings, so the people in the village A did not get along with people from the village B. I mean, it was so different that they spoke different languages. They had different, belief system. Just it was completely different. So it was. Imagine if basically they're going to war against each other, right? So if somebody comes to them and say, "Hey, we'll give you this if you just help us get rid of," they're considered them enemy, so they will easily get rid of them. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's how people got sold into trade. That's in a nutshell how all that happened. No, stop.
I want puppy.
But you can't be puppy right now.
That's how all that that started.
And to make matters worse, since Benin is not one of the countries on the list of countries where there's political strife, you're not going to catch a lot of people from Benin in America being a part of the conversation of Africans versus African Americans. So for me, a lot of the times people have these conversations, and most of the people that are running into that they feel like there's some type of discord or disdain is Nigerians. People from Nigeria. I don't know how active Nigerians are in teaching about their role in the slave trade that led to the transatlantic slave trade that led to African descendant people being in America. But Benin happens to be one of the countries that's very vocal about their role, teaches their children, because he knew about the role of slavery in Benin and the role that they played, and has monuments erected to the descendants of those that were lost to slave trade. And as well, of course, out of ignorance, they have people who are proud to be descendants of slaves who came back to Benin and continued the process of slave trading. And
these are things that you can learn, right? Because before her and I started all this discussion, whatever, she had some of this information, right? But when we started talking about slave and all this other stuff, right? She had some of this information that she would ask me, hey, how much more do I know that I can tell her, right, about what happened? So it's the ignorance on both sides starts with research, asking questions, and being open to dialogue, having conversation.
Because that's the most important part. Like, I have a story to tell as being African American and being from here. Just the struggles that once my people reach the shores, or our people reach the shores, everything that happened after that. That part he doesn't know, because that's not a daily part of his living.
Right.
His part was all the way up until they left Wheeler, the door of no return, and then beyond that he's known nothing other than what he's seen on TV. So there's a large gap that's missing as far as what he and many other Africans know about African American history before coming to America. And again, what they see of African Americans is what they see on TV, depicted through movies or just media, or of course there ain't too many of us going over there anyways to tell our stories. So the stories that they learn about us, they learn from other people.
So when the conversation happens, it's supposed to go something like this, right? Because there's hurt on both sides, mm-hmm. right? And so you tell me your experiences here as an African American, right? And then the first thing you talk about is race, right? I don't know nothing about race in Africa, right? Because we all black. The race is not a part of the conversation.
Nor is race stopping you from your daily living,
right? What we know. Here's how we look at it. When you take the projects, right? Mm-hmm. Public housing. Okay. So we look at it as you live in a project and then you pay, I don't know, let's say you pay $20 a month for a 2-bedroom, whatever it is.
For African Americans, the project is like the low of the low.
Right. So you hear,
that ain't low.
So you hear, I'm from the bottom, man, we're from the gutter, blah, 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 right? The thing with the hood, right? The idea behind it was low economic status, right? Poverty, right? As far as violence and all that, that has to do with people, people who
ignorant people
who added that kind of stupidity to it. But the way we looked at it, right, when you're African, right? Okay, here's how growing up is: no light, no running lights, no electricity, basically, no running water, right? You walk to school. Your school can be 5 miles away. You walk to school. When you didn't have enough money to pay for the school, you didn't go to school. They kicked you out, right? Because school wasn't free. You had to pay for it. And you take that time off to go work the land with your family to help earn more, work the land, get to when the crops grow, get to the market, sell it, and a little bit more money to be able to take his portion of it to pay and continue your schooling, right? So there's a lot more to the story. This video.
So our bottom isn't your bottom. Your bottom is below my bottom.
Right. So my bottom is I can't go to school when it's raining.
So unfortunately, when they come here and they see us living in public housing with Jordans on, looking good, but yet we're talking about we still can't rise. It's not out of, oh, I think I'm better than you. It's out of, I had less than you, but I was able to come up.
Right.
I have less than you, but I'm working a job that's below me. I have less than you, but I've never let that stop me. You know? So
the conversation. So basically, what she, to piggyback on what she's saying, it's not me looking down on you. It's me talking from my experience, saying, hey, listen, back that way, I didn't flush toilet. I took a shit in the hole. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have toilet paper. I had, old newspaper. I didn't have this. I didn't have that.
Or cloth.
You didn't always know where your next meal was coming from. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have a food stamp system, right? You had to go work the land with your family.
You didn't have a safety net, anything to fall back on other than truly yourself.
So I'm speaking from my experience when I was African. If I come here and I say, wow, you're living here for free, or you get whatever, right? Because I don't have that. Like I said, when it rains, I don't go to school. You know why? Because I'm going to the poorest school, and that school has bad roofing. So
and their schools have no windows. There's no glass covering the windows.
No. It's basically like this. You see how this thing is, right? So you have the window. Let's say there's a concrete column right here, and they're open like that. There's no window that's closed. It's all wide open. Some of them may have a fan. Most of them don't. You guys already know it's hot as hell in Africa. So you walk. Like I said, most of us we walk. I used to walk to school every single day. So that's what I come from. I think to bridge we have a lot more in common, more than we have
as a difference.
As a difference. And if we just have the conversation. So like I was saying, we have a lot more in common. If we just have the conversation, and I mean it's no hold bars, right? We gotta say how we both feel, but no judgment. Right? Everybody just, leave all your judgment at the door. We can sit down and just air it all out, and you will see we have a lot more in common.
The one thing I wanted to say is the main theme that I always come across is that African Americans feel like Africans are benefiting from a system that they helped create here. Like, oh, you get to come here and you get a loan and you get housing and you get this and you get that, and then y'all want to walk around and act like you better than us. I just hate hearing that come out of the mouths of African Americans, because I feel like there's this desire that African Americans feel like they want to have the #1 spot on victimization. Like, oh, ain't nobody been lower than this. Like we've been through so much stuff. We lowered it low. No, you're not. There are people who've been lower than you, as he explained. How many of you? A lot of us grew up with toilets in our house. So sure, the toilet didn't work. Sure, there was paint peeling and all that stuff. But imagine you got to go poop outside in the hole in the woods. Like, have we ever done that?
How do you go to school? On the yellow bus?
We go to school on a bus, the train.
We walked. And do you not
barefoot? Y'all walk barefoot.
Some of us
sometimes.
barefoot. Yeah. Do you not go to school when?
We go to school. There ain't no tuition holding us back from going to school.
So basically, there's no free tuition where I come from in most of Africa. So if you don't have the money, you can't. You
don't go to school.
But the conversation has to happen. I'm gonna give you like this little story that.
Wait, I wanted to add something when you were talking about. The idea that when they look at us in the projects and they see like, oh, how come you haven't? That's on us. That's on us to have that conversation about what has happened to African Americans here without being nasty, because they don't see that. From what they see, you have free housing, you have all these benefits given to you. What is stopping you? That's all they see. They don't see the inner workings of that. The other thing is that I've realized about colonialism versus white supremacy. For most Africans, they're white men. Okay?
The white man.
The white man is, and I'm not saying it to be racist, but he's special. He is nice. Like the things that he did to us here, he ain't do to them after a while. You know what I mean? Because they had their sense of identity. Unfortunately, Africans who are
we didn't get. Oh, actually, you know what? We can try and find the roots of that, of African loving white men, right? All the way lower. When you came to me, when the white man came to Africa, right, and came to me, to my tribe, saying, "Hey, we'll give you this, that, and the third," right? He's being nice to me, right? All I know is I hate them over there. When they send me country, but I hate that guys. I want him dead. I want him out of here, right? So I see him as a nice person because he gave me thing, and then he basically helped me get rid of my enemy, right? So if that if that trickle down as the memory of the white man, right? That's how a lot of them will look at it. You know what I'm saying? Now, what you were saying earlier about the conversation that needs to happen is that you need to explain to me, hey, when we got here,
this is what
occurred.
It's like when me and your mother had that conversation, and she made the statement about African Americans, like, you guys have everything, I just don't understand, and she kind of, in a sense, was trying to say, like, you guys are lazy, like, you have everything here before you, I don't get what the problem is. But she didn't know about 1921 here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She didn't know about the 300 plus businesses that were bombed, about little Africa that was torn down to nothing. That's not nothing she knew about, because guess what? It was not nothing that was discussed.
Yeah, we don't take African American history back home.
Right.
So and then I believe you guys had a conversation about it, right?
We did have a conversation about it, and I explained to her it's not that we are lazy. It's not that we have never taken advantage of what's been given to us, or have ever felt the need to stop complaining or get up off of our feet. But every time we had something of our own, by our own, and for our own people, it was destroyed. Here, it was destroyed. And again, I'm going to emphasize the word here. It was destroyed.
Right.
So when they see here being destroyed and reduced to nothing other than assistance and reliance on, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then back home, they have their own stores, they have cars. Let me tell you, people in Africa have homes, cars, with what you make minimum wage here.
No,
less than minimum wage.
Way less than what you make.
Less than minimum wage. They had that there.
Because the system that's
so when they see us complaining about not having enough, and we're making more than they made back home, and they had more than what we have, they're not understanding why we don't have it.
And hold on, right there. A lot of you that are watching will say, well, so why are you here then, Mr. African? Okay. Now, this is where media play a role into this, right? What you're sold when you're back home, what you're sold about America is that, it's the land of free.
It's the land of opportunity.
Land of opportunity.
Everyone can.
From any walk of life. Any walk of life, no matter your background. If you try, you can make it. You will make it.
And then you get here, and the first thing you see is African Americans just.
And so that's why I know that question comes a lot, and that question will come when y'all watch this video. But that's why a lot of us come here, because we're told literally like money grow on trees over here. We're told it's just better opportunity than what you have. And then for people like me, when we come here, we're like, no, it's not. So once some of us after being here, some of us, not all, but some of us after being here for a little while or for a long while, we realize that, no, I'm actually better off back home, because we don't run this. Because by and large, we don't run the system of credit you guys have here, where that just create a lot more stress on you, right? The back home is a system that's entrepreneur friendly. So you make a little bit of money, you buy the land. You make a little more money, you start you put the foundation. You make a little more, you build up the walls, put the roof, and then you move in.
And you can do it bit by bit.
That's what I'm saying.
No mortgage, no credit.
And that's what I'm saying, bit by bit. So in the end,
and hold on. And when we mean entrepreneur friendly, and this is a plus for African Americans, when we mean entrepreneur friendly, you know the man that ride around selling vegetables, you know the man that ride around selling fruits, right? You know the people that want to sell plates from their home, right? Those people who want to wash cars, fix up cars, create little spray painted T-shirts and spray painted sneakers. You would flourish there. So for me, I think it's critical that Africans tell African Americans about that, because I feel like that's one of the struggles that African Americans have had in this country with all these restrictions. And African Americans, we love a good hustle, but where that come from?
Okay, so that's what I'm about to say. Where
does that hustle come from?
I was about to say the exact word. What do African Americans say they do best always?
Hustle.
We can make it. We can hustle. Okay, so put it like this.
Nothing.
Most of Africa is made for hustlers. The way it works is here's how you function over there with any kind of no matter how much money you have or on any kind of budget. It's like let's say you don't have enough to buy like an entire loaf of bread. You can say if the loaf of bread is $1, for instance, yes.
You can say give me half a loaf.
Right, you can say let me get 15-cent worth, and she will cut it for you.
Okay. Or the other thing, if you don't have enough salt or enough money for salt, like here you can't go to the store and get 25-cent worth of salt, 25-cent worth of pepper, 25-cent worth of tomatoes. You know what I mean? And let me get 25-cent worth of onions over there.
So anyway, like I said, this video is gonna have to be a part 1 and part 2 to it. Otherwise, it's just gonna be too long. But in the end, here is that the thing between African Americans is a very easy and simple problem, right? I don't even see it as a problem, but it's a conflict due to lack of communication. I guarantee you, if you just have open conversation about, okay, this is my story coming from Africa, right? This is what I've been through over there, and this is the way I see you when I got here, right? From not hearing anything from you. And
this is the way I've been taught to see you,
right? Through
whatever I was presented. This may not be how I actually feel about you, or this may not even be true about you, but this is what I was taught to see you as.
And then you're gonna tell me this is what I was told to see you as. And then we're gonna sit in the room, close the door, and have a conversation, an honest conversation about your real experience, my real experience, and you will see the similarities. Like for instance, I remember when I got here, right, when I was in high school, I would have people ask me, so do you guys have like giraffes and elephants everywhere? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, and honest, most of them, I can tell they were not trying to be assholes. Like they were not trying to like make fun of anything like that. They were dead serious, right? I mean, they were dead serious. So I had to break it down to them like, okay, no, that's not how it works, right? It's like even here, right? Where are wild animals?
At the zoo.
Right, they're at the zoo or they're in the wild, right? I don't go to their house. They're in the wild. You know, we're in the city. That's it. Because, like, for instance, when I first got here, I didn't have any money. So I'm coming. So I would wear the $20 Payless boots that look like Timberlands, right? And so I remember I'm working class one time, and I just go. I'm coming. And this would ask me, "Yo, Mo, are those real?" You know what I mean? And then from there on out, right, the way I took it, why? Because we have Jordan, or you know what I mean? And that's always we always hitting, right? As opposed to sitting down and have a real open heart conversation about your experiences versus mine, and you will see it's a very
and not even that to the point. The larger point, go ahead. The larger point that I think he needs to make is, why would you care if his sneakers were real or not? He's here to get an education. So for him, it was, I'm here to get an education. I thought that's what we were all here for. But of course, African Americans and their whole American, westernized way of thought, oh yeah, sneakers real? Like, are those real Timbs and things of that nature? And then his rebuttal in his head was, all right,
no,
they may not be real. Yours may be real, but where you living at right now? I live in a house with my fake sneakers on, my fake Timbs, and you live in a project with your real Timbs on. You see where our priorities are?
And mind you, this is a guy in the physics class. This is a guy where when we're taking a test, this is a person who always asking me for answers. Right? You know what I mean? So we have to stop that. And like I said, I'm African, but I can be honest. It's on both sides, right? I have my thought. She has her thought, but it's on both sides, And if we bring it together, you will see you can easily bridge the gap.